24-hour, and if we want to go way back, the beginning of the week, and insecurity tops that list. And that's why the entire country is at that particular point when we're looking for answers, not just lamentations at this point, because Nigerians are tired of being killed, or reports of people dying is becoming very worrying. And there has been action. Efforts have been on. Whether those efforts are good enough is a different kettle of fish. That debate, you have it and you have your say. But let's begin by letting you know what exactly had played out today as a build-up to all of the movements that I talked about in terms of Nigeria's approach to stemming insecurity once and for all. Hopefully, as much as possible, so that the value of lives of our people can be respected, can be protected as provided for in the Constitution. So let's tell you that the president has now sworn in General Christopher Musa as Nigeria's Minister of Defense in a major push to restructure Nigeria's security architecture. General Musa's swearing-in ceremony took place at the presidential villa in Abuja earlier today, a day after a 5-hour grilling by the Senate leading to his confirmation. His appointment comes at a time of heightened insecurity in Nigeria, with mass abductions, banditry, and kidnappings taking center stage across parts of the country. The President Donald Trump, had threatened military action in Nigeria over killings and what they describe as mass slaughter of Christians, prompting a ramp-up of security measures by the federal government.
My immediate priority is to make sure that defense takes its place fully in the country. The synergy between the armed forces, and other security agencies, and all Nigerians being carried along, as we have always said, that security is everybody's responsibility. It is that synergy that we need to build on and work on it, and that's what we're going to. And I can assure you, within the shortest possible time, Nigerians will see results. I want to use this medium to appreciate all Nigerians. Nigerians have shown me love, and I will guarantee them that I am going to work whatever it takes to ensure that Nigeria is secured, working together. Yes, I just met Mr. President, and he reiterated his mind on the aspect that we must make sure that Nigeria is secured. Nigerians should go back and sleep with their eyes closed, go back to their farms, schools open without being molested, everyone being carried together to make sure that Nigeria continues to grow in line with the renewed program of the Mr. President.
Oh, that's General Christopher Musa, the former Chief of Defense Staff, now Minister of Defense. He knows that there's a lot on his shoulder. People have commented, both commentators, politicians across board. There's a lot of expectation on him. But maybe we may learn to manage that expectation as well, because he's not the commander-in-chief. The president is the commander-in-chief. So there's a lot of synergy that is required, as he's spoken and said, so that there's a coordination across board. One of the concerns is one of the things I will raise with my guest on the program today, will have to do with approach to the issue of banditry. He's a no-nonsense, very firm officer who, by perception, looks like if these are enemies of the state, there's no premise to address enemies of the state over whatever it is they are aggrieved over. If they are criminals, they are criminals. The use of force is the best option. But there are others who have a conciliatory approach. But those are the conversations we will explore today on the program, because the issue of national security is still big on the table. Yet again, this has to do with the presidency, but this time the presidency writing has nominated former Chief of Naval Staff and immediate pastoral administrator of Rivers State, Ibokete Ibas, former Minister of Interior General Abdurrahman Dambazo, as non-career ambassadors in a letter to the Senate seeking their confirmation. The president also named former Senator Itainang, former Imo State First Lady Chioma Hakim, and others. These are the latest to be listed as nominees after the presidency had released the names of over 30 other persons earlier, including former INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, former Aviation Minister Femi Fani Kayode, and former aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Mr. Reno Mokri. This brings the total number of nominees not yet screened to 65, as the initial 3 have now been screened by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. So there's a lot of talking points as far as this list is concerned, but there is distribution among career and non-career ambassadors that will be subjected to screening by the Senate Committee, and of course the Senate will confirm or not confirm depending on what they feel is the report they get. So all eyes on them, because this is long overdue as far as representation in our high commissions and our embassy is concerned. So let's hope that this is going to change the tide. In fact, one of the criticism of the government is to the fact that perhaps if we had representation in some of these embassies like the United States, maybe things would have been managed differently. But that's the list. Some additional lists that were released today because the presidency had actually promised that more names were coming out. We don't know whether this is the final list. So, but this is as far as we know. 68 in total, 65 not yet screened. 3, the initial 3, have now been screened. Okay, we'll bring in our guest in just a moment. And the state of the nation and national security is going to be the core of our conversation on the program today. But first, let's bring you other political stories in our political roundup.
President Bola Tinubu has forwarded the Senate a request for the confirmation of 65 ambassadorial nominees, comprising 34 career ambassadors and 31 non-career ambassadors and high commissioners. The letter conveying the request was read on the floor of the Senate today by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. The lists have been referred to the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, which is expected to conduct the screening process and report back to the upper chamber within 1 week. Meanwhile, the Senate has completed screening of the 3 ambassadorial nominees forwarded to the upper chamber by President Bola Tinubu for confirmation last week. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has emphasized the need for state governments to provide the necessary support that enables security agencies to function effectively, describing such assistance as a direct investment in the safety and well-being of the people. Governor Fubara made the remark during the courtesy visit by the new Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas, and his team of senior officers to Government House, Port Harcourt. He explains that his administration's continued support for the Navy and other security agencies in Rivers State is driven by the need to safeguard citizens and protect key national assets. The 2023 presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Dume Bika Chiku, says President Bola Tinubu's recent change of defense minister is not enough to address Nigeria's escalating insecurity. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, Kachiku highlights that Nigerians can no longer be left in the dark about the true nature of the violence claiming lives across the country. He adds that though the federal government reinstated General Christopher Musa and repositioned security, these actions fall far short of the decisive measures required at this critical moment. He warned that no administration can win a war of this scale without the support of the people. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, says the oil and gas production sector of the economy is crucial and must remain protected. Speaking during a meeting with members of the Security Subcommittee of the Oil Producer Trade Section in Abuja, the police chief assures that the section is not affected by the presidential directive. The Policy and Legal Advocacy Center and its development partners believe that the treatment of the Special Seats Bill will play a major role in determining the legacy of the 10th National Assembly. Speaking unanimously at a stakeholders roundtable in Abuja, the forum expressed strong support for the bill, which is expected to bring about political, social, and financial inclusion for women in the country. In Cross River State, the leadership crisis within the All Progressives Congress seems to have deepened, as members of the State Executive Committee unanimously voted the state chairman, Barrister Alphonsus Eba, out of office. The committee accuses the former chairman of misappropriation of party funds, failure to pay party stipends, and what they describe as an unprogressive leadership style that allegedly led to the party secretariat being shut for over 3 months. According to party officials, the prolonged internal disagreements are affecting unity and hindering the party's operations ahead of future political engagements.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the state of our nation. There is a lot to comment about as far as Nigeria is concerned. It's been many years, and we've been grappling with all forms of issues, one of which has to do with the issue of being able to attain nationhood. Maybe we're a country, but as a nation, that may be debatable. We're made up of several ethnic nationalities, depending on who you're listening to, between 200 to 400 ethnic nationality. To aggregate that to form a nation is at the bane of polity to see how that will happen. And what we observe most of the time is that when it comes to election cycle, you see that being stoked over and over. So we're divided across either ethnic lines or religious line or all forms of lines. And so that's an aspiration as a nation we're working towards as a people. And this is the moment where everybody has to be on the table, because insecurity is everybody's problem. Whether you're listening to the government or you're listening to the security expert, everybody has to say something if you see something. But we must also be able to interrogate all the efforts so far and see how it goes. But let's begin with some of the latest decisions by the government of the day under President Bola Tinubu. Let's bring in my guest, Professor Anthony Kila. He's a professor of strategy and development. He joins us virtually. Professor Kila, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good to be here. Good evening.
Good evening, Prof. Also, let's get started with before we get to the issue of security, let's talk about, there's a lot of furor, there's a lot of talk about this ambassadorial nominee. I remember the very first list that came out. In fact, all hell, like literally everybody was talking, or some for, some and against, and that as it may. And then we see another list again today, making the total number 68, but 3 have been screened, but there are new names added. The former had highlights like Femi Fani-Kayode, Reno Mokri, Mahmoud Yakubu, the former INEC chair. And this time we're seeing Ibokete Bas, the immediate past sole administrator. We're seeing General Dambazo, who was an interior minister, and several other persons. First, your take on the list that you've seen so far.
Well, I think my initial reaction, by the way, let me start this way, because I know quite a few of those people, the people on the list. There's some of them I know personally, and I've sent them congratulatory message, which they hope that they do very well. Some of them, I'm sure they would likely do well the way they are. Some of them would need a bit of push and guidance and instruction to do well. But, you know, that's where we are now. I think my judgment, when I saw the list, is that the elephant has given birth to a rat. I say this because many of those people were ex-this, ex-that. They are people who are known. So if it's going to take the president and the presidency so much time to give birth to this list, then it's a bit of an anticlimax. You would think if they were going to spend 2 years to make up this list, they were coming with unknown, innovative people that required a heck of a vetting, and they've gone to the end of the world to go and look for them. You know, these are people that are around that, you know, you didn't take that long. I hope these people, or better still, I hope the president is able to give them good guidelines on what is expected of them, and then they follow it. It will be very bad of me to come on national TV and keep quiet over the nomination of the former INEC chairman. That is a bad choice. What is the hurry after 8 years of managing INEC to need another job? Let him go and reflect on the election he has conducted and maybe write a book about it or something. What is this rush to make him ambassador immediately? I think that's a bad call. And, you know, I take him, but there are also some other bad calls. But there's some good calls. But, you know, overall, since they're there, my hope is that they get good guidance, they get good output, and they push towards representing the country with dignity and building product. I contest the process, but I think as citizens, we just have to hope for the best. And I want to say this, no matter how much you disagree with the government, you should never hope your country fails. You should always hope it does best. But I think some things they're doing wrongly.
Yeah, I like that very patriotic line that you just mentioned. No matter how much you don't like or like government, you don't hope your country fails. Now, let's talk about, one of the things I'm trying to look at is when people are critical of these names, what exactly is expected of an ambassador or a high commissioner in that sense, so that we know whether they fit the bill. So two yardsticks I would like you to speak to. Maybe you add yours. Just me just thinking out loud. Credential and credibility for the people that some people feel are dots in the system. by their own interpretation? Is it that they don't fit the credential yardstick or criteria, or they don't fit the credibility criteria? And how does that affect their work in any shape or form?
Well, I think credibility and credential are a very crucial thing. That is the expected outcome. I was criticizing the process in the sense that, you know, if you're going to take people that you already know, that we all know who they are, you know who they are, you might as well done it a month after you got in the office. If it's going to take you 2 years to build the known, there's something faulty with that process. To add to it, there's a bit of unpleasant suspicion that this thing is being done in reaction to an external force, i.e., the orange factor, the Trump factor. You know, that doesn't look very good, you know, whatever you call it. Those are kind of embarrassing things, true or false as they are. But to go to your output, to the, you know, to the criteria that you talk about, credentials and capability, the role of an ambassador is to represent the country in formal settings, institutional settings, protocol settings, and informal settings, i.e., representing different kind of organizations. Then the ambassador is also the eye of the country that it represents while abroad. So the duty of an ambassador will include picking up news items, picking opportunities for Nigeria, interfacing, and of course using his office to promote the welfare of the citizens and processes that needs to be done. To do that, an ambassador should understand his or her own country of origin, i.e. Nigeria, to understand what we have, what we need, what we are proposing, and then understand the country they're going to, so that when opportunities are there, they can pick it up. Better still, if they have a bit of a cultural anthropology of that country, so they don't go and make a fool of themselves there. Although they will be guided, but they need to do it. Underlying all this, a good ambassador must have good communication skills to be able to promote the country, and they should be able to discern from good and bad company. Let us hope the people we're sending also have character, and that they're not using the ambassador role to get visa for themselves or for their families. Not people who have been, we not choose an association of people who are hoping to japa, and this is their chance becoming an ambassador, and they become a visa racketer rather than representing the country. A good choice will take care of all these metrics. So it's competence, credibility, and character are the 3 C's you're looking for.
All right, Prof. Before I let you off on this ambassadorial nominee issue, without belaboring the issue, sometimes people feel that literally every other person who is not a politician is unfair to politicians. As soon as their names pop up in any of these lists, people just know why a politician. That's why we have career and non-career ambassador. But there's something I would like you to speak to that, if you noticed it. The president, perhaps, is also playing a good politics here, because if you look at the list that he has released so far, it comprises of people who are not members of his political party. It even comprises of people who in the past has insulted him, or whatever language is used in this sense. But what do you make of his approach to carry everyone along, despite the, you know, grumbling in some of the names that have been listed?
I have an issue with that. It's not as good as it seems. You see, if he had come out to make the list to say, dear Nigerians, I'm making a list based on merit, and it doesn't really matter to me, their party of origin, it would sound better. In this case, it just sounds confused. It just tells you that the past has no meaning, that affiliation has no significance, and there is no idea or ideology that divides or unites these people. And we should be very careful, because politicians, especially Nigerian politicians, they pay a lot of service to loyalty. It appears the way to become recognized is to insult the president or be on the other side before. Then they will clap for you. Then those who have always been on the side of the president or his party seems to be dullards or losers. We need to be very careful about these things, otherwise, because it breeds out the wrong kind of idea. So I think expressing it, justifying it, analyzing it, juxtaposing it to other kind of thoughts and putting into context is a duty that the president and the presidency has. It would be good not just to send people out as ambassadors or for nomination, but to say the reason why I'm choosing Mr. XYZ is precisely for these 5 reasons. Not just their CV, to say, given what we hope to achieve, our posture with Israel, this is kind of the person we're sending there. Based on our posture to the US, this is the person we're sending there. You see, that is accountability, transparency, and a sense of logic. Somebody might say to me, no, you don't do all your politics in the open here. Trust me, this is 2025, almost 2026. Secrets are less. The world is like Google, is like AI. Everything is there. So those who think they want to run the world in an opaque way risk being alienated and risk being overrun by other people.
All right, Prof, I want to explore even further, but not on the ambassadorial list this time, as we talk about issues around security. Because you mentioned it in passing, it just came into my mind. I said, it's a difficult challenge, even among politicians, because as you know what the system looks like, in politics, somebody brings you to the table to have a seat on that table. In fact, what the military did under the IBB administration to form the SDP and the NRC, the logic was to say, we don't want a conversation around founding fathers. So if you're left-leaning, go this way. If you're right-leaning, go this way. So nobody said we were the founding fathers, our signatures were the original signatures. Forget about all of that. But that was under a military government. Now we have national leaders and all of that. My question is, because it plays out in how people serve their country, how can we help politicians, or how can politicians get to a point where there's stronger loyalty to states than to persons, despite the respect and honor they have for that person? It's a difficult line for most of them.
Why didn't you ask me who I would like as ambassador? I would have mentioned you. That's a question you should have asked me. You didn't ask me that one. I would have nominated
I like
you.
my job.
Fair enough. That's a good answer. Well, no, I think this issue of loyalty, look, the idea of loyalty is a good thing, it's a noble thing. But let's really face it, we should be more interested in affinity to ideas. You see, if people are truly independent, worthy of the title leader, the issue of loyalty will be less than that of affinity. We talk about loyalty because there's a vacuum of ideas, of ideology, of principle in our political space. People talk about father, godfather, mentor, the person that made them. People describe themselves as other people's boy. When you see fathers of family calling other people their father, we're creating a nation of orphans where people are looking for fathers where they did not put fathers. Those things stem out of the shallow nature of our political discourse and practice. It is because the conversation is not about inflation, it's not about other physical policies or monetary policies or environment or ways to create jobs. Because the conversation is not around those things. It's about North-South, Muslim, Christian. There's some states where they're having arguments for gubernatorial candidates about senatorial districts within the same state. So it's about religion, it's about this, it's about that. So when you look at that, there's no space for what politics ought to be. In reality, politics ought to be an association of great minds, potential leaders that get together because they share some common ideas. And they decide that in this moment, given the context of our country, you are best suited to lead because of what is going on in the world, knowing in their mind that it could be me instead of you. And let me tell, I have some information, dear viewers. Every council member, I'm talking local government council, not chairman, just council member, that is worthy of his salt, has the right to have ambition to be president of Nigeria. The only question is, can they do it? So this idea of people subjugating their vision for loyalty to a person is because, quite frankly, we are giving the jobs of men to boys.
A very strong word there, Prof. Prof, let's talk about security. I was just doing some calculations. We're glad that some people are back or have been released, rescued. What everybody seems to be asking is what happened to the abductors. We'll come to that question in just a moment. But my little mathematics, I calculated maybe around 2 weeks or slightly more from kidnapping of the 24 girls to the one in Iruku in Kwara State, about 38 or so, and then 300 plus, we're not sure of the exact number, in Niger, in Papri, and then another 11 after the 38 were released. So if you put all that together, bordering on almost 400, 370-something people kidnapped in very quick succession. Well, gladly, we've had some numbers come back, 50, 34, and all of that. We still have over 200 still in captivity. The NSA had visited to assure the parents and the government that they will be out. What do you make of what is really happening in Nigeria? Is this a very festering situation, a false flag operation, or coordinated chaos, or this is us just losing grip of what is happening to us? Or the statement by Donald Trump is what has triggered some of these things? Because there are so many conjectures and speculations. What do you make of it and the response of government?
Well, I think, you see, it's a bit of everything, and it's a bit of everything that you say. Coordinated kind of attack on us. It could also be not coordinated. Certainly, it's embarrassing and it is painful. It is painful because when you look at these figures, one thing we do not talk about when we talk about these numbers is that each person, you talk about 24 or 100, each person belongs to a network of about 50 people. Parents, family members, teachers and friends, and you're talking blood and pain here, and something very messy that we're not seeing very well. And that's a very sad place to be. The other is the embarrassment. You see, because it's happening to us and we're recording it, I want our viewers to know that in the world, it's not normal to capture 24 people, let alone 50 or 100. You know, it's not something that is usual. And I say this from the history of the world. Maybe they've captured slaves, but not school children. When there was slaves, there was not so many schools. Not school children that they go and capture all that amount. It's something crazy. If you read stories of people who came back from slavery, their account of how they were captured is very similar to how the children of today and people of today are abducted. You know, how they woke up in the morning expecting something else, and another thing happened to them. The pain is, and there's an embarrassment for the country, because you would think after the Chibok girls, Nigeria will become the country of an expert country in how to defend children. That is how to rule. When something happens to you, you say never again, and you react to it. Now, the fact it has happened to us again shows us that whether we accept it or not, the people against us have declared war on Nigeria, and they're taunting us, and they're becoming more aggressive. How can you, when one man just said that you're doing prison genocide, you then go to church to go and carry people again? Can you not see that really sending a message? How can you, when they're describing us as a country that is dangerous and has problems, you then go ahead to go and kidnap people again? My view is that the country should realize it's at war, and the president, because as the chief security officer, should declare war on those who try to terrorize us or try to kill us. There's a lot of argument about the socioeconomic reason for banditry and kidnapping, and that we should win the battle of heart and mind. Yes, I agree with that, but I also believe that we should kill those trying to kill us. I also believe that we should deploy more boots, more bullets, and more bombs. I believe that it is the duty of the state, if it's worthy of the name, to deploy its superior and legitimate force. I believe that we're in a place now where anybody who's a bandit, a terrorist, linked to terrorists or bandits, affiliated to them in any way, should be afraid. We need to turn the table and make those who are terrorizing us feel pain and fear and confusion. And that is on one side. But we also need to go after them, not just in terms of military operational thing. We need to go in terms of finance, see how they're financing themselves. What are they doing with the money they collect? Who's keeping it for them? Who's funding them? Where are they buying from? We need to make people afraid to sell to anybody that looks like a terrorist or smell of banditry. Then we need to review our borders. It is time we know that most of the arms used, if not all of it, are not manufactured in this country, and make sure they do not get into the country to get to the arms of those who use it against us. And if anybody, any Nigerian citizen, suspects anybody of terrorism or banditry, this is the time to make sure they not only have the courage to come out, they should know they have the duty to come out, and they should be protected when they come out to denounce and report these things.
Prof, if I let you go, what would you say is your assessment of the effort of government so far in how they've been able to manage the situation we found ourselves? There are a lot of moving parts. We've seen service chiefs change, we've seen redeployment, we've seen measures, all kinds of... What's your own assessment? Are you impressed? What's your own assessment of the effort of government in managing national security?
Including the declaration of emergency. I think it is good that we're having, this reign of reaction, which we'll have had long before. I think, I like to welcome the president to the club of proactive people like myself and others. I think it's a good thing that we're acting now. It's a lot of it is late, but what is late, the best next time is now. So yes, I think the reactions are good. We expect results. I expect two things to happen. That we start arresting people that we suspect of something, and that we start even inviting some people, what are they called? People of interest in some matters. There's some phantom list going about. I think it's time we start making that list public. And since there is a theory, rumors about some people who they say in high places have been abetting terrorism, I think those people, it's time we start calling them for some conversations, whether arrest or just invitation, to say, we heard that you're linked to terrorists, sir. Can you come and explain to us what is your position on terrorism? I think those kind of high-profile interception, investigation will help the morale of Nigerians generally and of those fighting terrorism. And I think we need to listen to some service chiefs and some security experts that have talked about collusion between government and terrorism, or some kind of laxity. I think we need some populist move. I think that's my point. Right. And we also need to, I insist, militarize some areas where we suspect to be high level of danger. We need to let them feel the state. I have seen in this country, in some states that have been privileged to monitor elections, that Nigerian police force, you might not know, most viewers, they have shining helicopters with the painting of Nigerian police force. We have armies in places. I think this time we deploy those kind of force in every area so that the area should not just feel safe, but also to make it insecure for those who are against security. But so far, something's been done I like. Well, I like them because I asked for them for long ago,
All right.
So, yes.
Prof, very apt and well said. Thank you so much for your expertise and bringing light to the conversation. Professor Anthony Kila is a professor of strategy and development. As always, thank you. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We're not done yet with the conversation around national security. When we come back after the break, we'll be joined by a security expert and a public affairs analyst. We'll expand the conversation even further, because the whole idea is we need to keep talking until our people stop dying. That is the end game. So whatever it takes, we'll do it right here. In just a moment, stay with us.
Bro, not transfer.
Now money point of that.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mo go buy ball.
Victor, even you, they use money point?
Of course now, they use money points.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
In the beating heart of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodimma's leadership has turned manifestos into reality, transformations that feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace, and in Imo, it's not left to chance. From land to sky to river deep, Guardians are watching, protecting dreams and opportunity. At Orashi's quiet shore, hydropower is rising, set to energize a growing economy. The change is visible. New roads emerge, industry hums, communities come alive. At the center, a digital revolution. 500,000 young minds trained each year to build the future. As Orashi rises, so does Imo and the hopes of a hard-working people. The new Imo is on the rise.
What makes a true leader in the game? Is it being the first to start? For over a decade, one name has always led in front. That name is Bet Naija. Bet Builder, Bet Freeze, Wanna Bet Boom. Not just features, with unbeatable odds on over 300,000 live matches, you're playing to win. Just another reason why Bet Naija is truly Nigeria's number one. Bet Naija, truly number one.
This season, wrap your loved ones in comfort and joy with Mocha.
Imo State is stepping into a new era, a bold push towards opportunity, partnership, and innovation at the Imo Economic Summit 2025 on December 4th and 5th, 2025. Leaders and investors come together to unlock growth across key sectors: gas, energy, industries, agriculture, and tourism. This is where ideas meet investment, where potential becomes prosperity, and where a new Imo rises. Imo means business. Join us on the 4th and 5th of December 2025 at Concord Boulevard, Owerri, Imo State, and be part of Imo's biggest opportunity for investment and transformation. Imo Economic Summit 2025, unlocking Imo's economic potential.
In this life, it's what you do behind that shows in front.
Now, give us the fire. Tell us more. It's Cosmo or nothing. Luxury or not, this is Cosmo.
That's why I roll with Cosmo deodorant. No sweat, no stains, no odor.
Now you know.
Cosmo Roll-On Whitening Deodorant.
All day freshness, 7 days a week from GVS Cosmetics.
Our end-of-year sales is on. Doors are more than entryways, they are guardians. At Swiss Street Doors, we don't just build doors, we make grand entrances. From the timeless elegance to the unmatched strength of our historical doors, our pivot security doors, our exclusive doors, and our Irish galvanized steel doors, to the water-resistant of our internal doors, don't miss your chance to save big. Come and enjoy our 50% combo discount offer now. Swiss Street Doors, your door, your pride.
My name is Austin Azuko Kocha, but you all call me JJ. That's because I was so unstoppable, they named me twice. During my days as a professional footballer, I played as an attacking midfielder. No one could stop me, not even malaria, when mosquito bites. Now you too can be unstoppable if you use Lonat against malaria.
Lonat, a combination of Artemether and lumefantrine. Lonat, be unstoppable.
Welcome back. Dennis Amakri is a former director at the GSS. He joins us virtually. Mr. Amakri, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And once I have joined us, Nasser Suleiman is a public affairs analyst joining us from our Abuja studios. Thank you, Mr. Nasser, for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank
Mr.
you
Amakri,
very
let
much.
me start with you. You are the intelligence guy, and you're one of the people who go to you're one of our first port of call when we want to ask questions about intelligence and all of that. So two things I want you to respond to as quick as you can. One, what is your impression of the new defense minister and what your expectation will be? But in addition to that, success of attacks and even killings and rampaging, whatever it is that these terrorists are doing, we can classify it as maybe failure of intelligence, because if there was intelligence to prevent it, it won't happen. So we are more reactive. Why is that?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. You know, these past 2 weeks, or is it 3 weeks now, has been very, very exciting. You know, very, very exciting, because there's a flurry of activities, and then, of course, everybody's excited. Things are happening. The government are suddenly waking up, you know, and then things are happening. So it's okay. That's how it should be. Now, first of all, you asked about the former CDS, who is now the Minister of Defense. I think, like everybody says, it's a square peg in a square hole, or a round peg in a round hole. It fits that position. It fits it. Because the requirement for that position, of course, is many. Strategic leadership, and then, of course, military background. And actually, when you come to, you refer to the president as commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And the Minister of Defense will necessarily be the second, you know, the vice commander-in-chief of the armed forces, because he is the one. And of course, his role mainly is to advise the president. And he's been in government before. He knows all the people that are there. I know that he's going to create a very good network between his office and the National Security Advisor and the armed forces themselves, the Army, Navy, and Air Force. And then, of course, security agencies, which is very, very familiar with them. So I think this appointment was very, very well done. It's a well-done appointment, fit for purpose, unlike some that we have had that don't even have an inkling of what defense is supposed to be. And I think those are the things that we should be looking at. When you appoint somebody, they should be fitting that position, not because of politics, you know, but because of what they are supposed to do in that position. The second one you're talking about is, why are we having a flurry of attacks after the announcement of President Trump of America? And then you have all these attacks. You know, they are attacking Christians. The Americans said that there's genocide against Christians in the country. And then, of course, what do we see? They now start concentrating on churches. And then, of course, going to children, schools, Christian schools, and kidnapping people. Basically, I think if you are connecting the dots, you find out that what they're actually doing is scare tactics. They are scared. You know, they are trying to, you know, kidnap these children and use them as human shields. And so that in case they are being attacked, they will now use them. And then, of course, the collateral damage is going to be high. But that's the tactics they want to use. And I think it's known. But I have news for them. If the Americans are cooperating with Nigerians and they are going to work using their high-level technology, that's not an issue. They will get them. You know, so these things are happening, and I think the military should be ready to deal with it. We have a new Minister of Defense, and I think he's ready to deal with it, as you can see from the screen.
All right, Mr. Makri, I'm going to take another short break, and when I come back, I'll bring in Mr. Suleiman to also bring in his thoughts on this issue, because we're just trying to look for solution. But we'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
In the beating heart of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodimma's leadership has turned manifestos into reality, transformations that feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace, and in Imo, it's not left to chance. From land to sky to river deep, guardians are watching, protecting dreams and opportunity. At Orashi's quiet shore, hydropower is rising, set to energize a growing economy. The change is visible. New roads emerge, industry hums, communities come alive. At the center, a digital revolution. 500,000 young minds trained each year to build the future. As Orashi rises, so does Imo and the hopes of a hard-working people. A new Imo is on the rise.
Philomath University is one of the fastest growing private universities in Nigeria, with 100% accreditation in the recent nationwide accreditation of NUC. The human resources for the delivery of lectures are excellent, and celebrated professors and doctors with distinctions. The Chancellor of the university is a man of distinctive character, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, formerly of United Nations and formerly Chief of Staff to President Buhari. Professor Mike Faborode is a member of the Governing Council of Philomath University, formerly the Vice Chancellor of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and formerly the Secretary General of Council of the Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities. Dr. Collins Aimwa, Esquire, the Pro-Chancellor, Philomath University. Philomath University have intellectuals who have won different laurels among their peers. Philomath University student won the first female president of the Association of Law Students of all universities in Nigeria. Philomath University has main campus in Kuje, Abuja and city campus in Maitama, Abuja. Enrollment is on. Don't be left out. Visit www.philomath.edu.ng or call.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Imo State is stepping into a new era, a bold push towards opportunity, partnership, and innovation at the Imo Economic Summit 2025 on December 4th and 5th, 2025. Leaders and investors come together to unlock growth across key sectors: gas, energy, industries, agriculture, and tourism. This is where ideas meet investment, where potential becomes prosperity, and where a new Imo rises. Imo means business. Join us on the 4th and 5th of December 2025 at Concord Boulevard, Owerri, Imo State, and be part of Imo's biggest opportunity for investment and transformation. Imo Economic Summit 2025, unlocking Imo's economic potential.
The Zynox Computerized Nigeria Initiative, the CNP, is more than technology. It's transformation. Zynox is closing the digital divide. We provide affordable computers to millions, tearing down financial barriers to technology access.
It's a complete ecosystem. We include the device, plus reliable Starlink internet, iPower backup, and essential 24/7 support.
Zynox is helping schools move from old books to a modern, digitized learning system.
The CNP is also for business growth. We equip SMEs and corporations with the same tools, boosting productivity and efficiency nationwide.
This drives economic growth. We create direct jobs, agents, trainers, and fuel a powerful, knowledge-driven economy.
We guarantee total accountability. Donors receive transparent quarterly reports verifying every investment makes a positive impact.
Digital access for every Nigerian, powered by Zynox.
Synox. Anticipate the future.
Welcome back. My guest, Mr. Dennis Amakri, former GSS director, as well as Mr. Nasser Suleiman, joining us from Abuja studio. Gentlemen, thank you, and my apologies. Brevity is the soul of wit. If you can give me responses in 1 minute each of my questions, so I can take a few more questions before I'm chased out of here by the director. Nasser, let me come to you. What you make of the same question I asked the former DSS director, Mr. Amakri, that has to do with the warring escalation in terms of abductions. What's your characterization and interpretation?
All right. Thank you very much, and good evening, Nigerians. This interview is coming at the very right moment because right now, a few hours ago, I came out from a National Youth Conference that was organized by the United Nigerian Youth Congress, which is part of our annual conference. And a lot of things have been discussed. And some of them, majority are part of the issue of insecurity and the issue of, those political will to solve some of the country's challenges. So 4 things are happening, and I will quickly explain them. One, there is political. Secondly, there is internal saboteurs. Thirdly, there is lack of political will. And the fourth, there is international conspiracy against the Nigerian state. Let me begin by political. Most of the politicians that we have in Nigeria today will go to any length, whatsoever it is, just to clinch whether their ticket or the positions that they are aspiring to have. And that is why, I forgot to tell you the theme of our program was Nigeria First. And these issues of, someone looking for opposition, someone contesting or looking for opposition will do whatever it is to sabotage the interests of Nigeria and to go as any length, to do whatever is possible to make sure that Nigeria never succeeds. Secondly, there are saboteurs within. Those saboteurs within are the ones maybe giving information to those perpetrating all these crimes. Sometimes, there's a conspiracy or belief that if you want to get money, sometimes you have to create chaos. And this is what some of those internally are doing to Nigeria and the challenges that we face. Which thirdly is the issue of lack of political will. Most of our government, most of our people, first of all, they are not even competent. Secondly, they don't have the political will to solve some of this problem. And I will give you an example. This National Youth Conference, we have been planning it for for months. And there is no minister, there is no senator, there is no member of House of Representatives or any of these big politicians that we didn't invite to come in the issue of this national conference. Most of these politicians, sometimes when we go with them, when we go to them, it's either they tell us to either enter their party
I would have
or support
to butt
them.
in because of time. Mr. Suleiman, my apologies. Let me butt in because of time and bring in Mr. Makri. I think your thoughts are well outlined. Mr. Makri, as we begin to wind down, because I have just about 1 minute, 30 seconds more, let me allow you to say with that, the issue of saboteurs, a general, a brigadier general was killed, and the suspicion is around saboteurs. What do you make of it? How do we get ourselves out of that quagmire? If you can do it in 1 minute, 30 seconds.
I think that, yes, there are saboteurs. And we should know that, both in the military, in politicians, and they're all over the place. But I'm happy that the new Minister of Defense has said it, that he's going after them. And even besides those, we need to also rein in the financiers and the supporters. Just like your former guest said, I think there is need for this state of emergency to be more effective. There should be arrests. Let us not just mention that these people have been identified as financiers and we've not seen any arrest. There should be arrest. And of course, we should create fear in their hearts to make them be sure that they cannot just do anything and get away with it. It is not a situation where you are threatening the country and then nothing is happening to you and then you just move on. I think the government need to stamp its feet down.
Mr. Makri, thank you for just keeping it apt and simple. You owe us more conversations. Of course, you know, we always call on you, but most thank you. Mr. Dennis Makri, former Justice Director, as well as Mr. Nasser Suleiman. My apology, we don't have more time to explore your thoughts because of time. Public affairs analyst, thank you. You're a young person, so it's important we bring you to the table because you're the future of Nigeria. Thank you both, gentlemen. Thank you. Appreciate it. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your company. I'm Jeffrey Ozama. Enjoy your...
Support the special seats bill for women. Let this assembly be remembered as the one that said yes to inclusion. And let's build a Nigeria where every voice, including hers, is heard.
I am Honorable Barrister Blessing Chigeru Amadi, representing the good people of Port Harcourt Federal Constituency to Rivers State, an Ikwere woman. Now we are talking about the gender bill, how to create more seats for women in the National Assembly, because we are very few. In the National Assembly, we have the House of Senate. We have a total of 109 members, only 4 are women. You come to House of Representatives, we are 60, only 16 are women. That's not, the percentage is about 4%, so that's not very encouraging. So we are now appealing to not only to the men, to the women themselves, because they should be the drivers of this vision. Now we're appealing to our men, our brothers, our sisters, our sons, our husbands to support us, and particularly in the National Assembly, as we're going for a debate, we'll continue to appeal to them. But my advice to women is that at all times, at all levels, they should try to be relevant, whether in politics or not. You befriend them, so what are you doing? You give them something, no matter how little. Don't run away, don't shy away from politics.
Imagine a world where leadership is not a privilege of gender,